Alright guys, welcome back to the Mangrove Door Variety channel. Today's video we're going to be doing is going to be continuing our Minecraft videos here. So in the last video what we covered is our 1.18 new update where I just had a little showcase set up of the items that they added into this game. Now I said in the following video what I'd be doing is showing the minor additions to the world that I added. So a while back in the channel what we did is a series of videos, like 5 or so videos showcasing the entire world, flat world that we have here. Of me, just the stuff that I built, basically. And so, we're in this area here, and I said I'd update you on any additions that I added to the world. So we added a couple small additions to this world, and we're going to be showcasing them in this video. So we're in this part of the world where I just randomly build houses and stuff, and this big castle over by this building that we call the archive here. And so I added a couple small things in here. This is where I mainly kept rarities and stuff that's harder to get. So like stuff like this and the half exploded TNT and the command blocks. But the other stuff new stuff I added is up here. So for one, I added a couple smaller little trap doors everywhere just to make the challenge of this place harder. And if you're not quite too sure what that is, go back to, I think it was like, it was one of the Minecraft World Showcase videos elsewhere on my channel that shows you inside this building and the challenge. There's a little challenge you can complete in here. But I added a little more just to make it a little bit more difficult, the challenge. So the main thing that we added here is another exhibit. And this is this thing right here. So there's a couple exhibits here that are, and these are just a little bit of a harder to find items. And I am actually have ready availability of these items, obviously, since I'm in creative mode. But these are items in this thing that I'm worried may be taken out of the game at some point. Because they're not used a lot, and they're just not a very commonly spoken of item in Minecraft. So basically what these items are is we're going to start off with the chainmail armor here. I got a full set on that armor stand. I got the what they look like, the pieces in the item frame. And so basically you used to be able to craft this armor way back in my early Minecraft. Back when there was a block that was known as fire. So right now in the game, and pretty much for a long time, you're gonna make fire with flint and steel. So if I had a flint and steel, I could burn this whole building down. We're not going to, but I could. And I just strike that and create a fire. Well, back then, fire was a block that you would get from the inventory, and you just place it, and then it would work. Well, yeah, you use those fire blocks in a crafting table to create these chainmail. Can't do that anymore. If you want it in survival, you have to find it in a chest or import it from creative. Other than that, it's only obtainable in creative. And then that's what it looks like, and I have some on here. I got some leggings on there. But that's that. So I'm thinking that may happen. Well, and you might be wondering, well, why are you keeping it here if they're going to take it out of the game? Well, it'll still be in the game here if they do take it out. So, like, remember from the showcase videos in my Minecraft world of the old stone cutter design that was in that house? It was from what the old stone cutters look like. Well, it was still in the game even after they redid the stone cutter because it's already been placed. So that's what I think might happen with these. Not that these ever will be taken out of the game, but just in case. So originally, I was going to put a minecart with furnace in here. But they did take that out of the game because no one was using it. So I should have got to it sooner, but I didn't. It just was not a very useful item. I don't think you could even interact with it, to be honest with you. So all it was used for was just move other minecarts, and players didn't really use it for that. They didn't really use it for much because that's all it was used for, and it wasn't really a thing that players needed to do. So they got rid of it, sadly, before I could get in here. So I think I saw a video somewhere saying that minecart with TNT is kind of not a very widely used item. So I remember back to the video and I put it in here as well, just in case they take it out. So there used to be a minecart with chest, TNT, hopper, and furnace. Now there's just TNT, chest, and hopper. But people still use the chest and hopper, you know, if they're creating automatic sorting machines or whatever, they still use those. But you can still use this. You can light the TNT and send it rolling into somewhere, but it's just not really a very common thing, so I just put it in here just in case that would happen. And then the final thing that's in here is the zombie horse egg. So basically a zombie horse egg is only obtainable in creative. You can only spawn it creative. You cannot spawn it in survival unless you have commands and cheats enabled. I'm guessing you could spawn it with commands, but you cannot obtain, they do not spawn in survival. So the only way you can spawn is in creative, and it was added way back in Minecraft when I was playing it. When they added the horses and the mules and the donkeys, they added zombie horses and skeleton horses as well. But skeleton horses spawn in survival as lightning striking something, I believe, striking a certain way. It will spawn skeleton horsemen. And you can also mount a skeleton horse. You cannot mount these, though. You cannot do anything with them. You can attach a lead to them, though, but you can't do anything else. But yeah, so that's its egg, and I just spawned one in here, though. So I'm afraid that that might disappear, so it's there. And this little mangrove door here, which is added in the new update, I laid it back here, so you can punch these blocks out and obtain the egg from it, or the item, so that you could place it or use it if you're demonstrating something, if they did take this out of the game. So, like, I could bust this out of here because you can't punch the item frame directly or the item will disappear, and if it's taken out of the game, you cannot get it back. So that's why you have to punch the block that it's sitting on. So that's why there's this room back here. Okay, I added a monster spawner, even though those probably won't go out of the game because they're needed in survival for dungeon chambers. But I just put it in here anyway with the skeleton in it because I thought it was kind of neat. Then another thing that I don't see used too much anymore is the trapped chest. So basically, if you hook this up to a redstone compartment or something, or a lot of times people would use these if you could open it and you'd be standing on the floor would open up and you'd fall into a pit of lava. So we're used for that, but they're not really used anymore, not to me at least. So I put that in here. Okay, so that's it for this part. So we're gonna go back to our other detail that we added. And these may seem like small details, but I just added them anyway because I thought that they would be nice little additions. We have two more changes to look at. So we're flying way back over here to the masonry section that I mentioned in the first video, I believe, of the World Showcase. And that's where all these bricks and stuff are. As you may be noticing, you can see another one that wasn't there in that other video, if you watched it. So basically, these are king bricks, these are called, because they're king size, because they're longer than the other types of bricks. So this is basically your standard brick, what we're used to seeing today. If it's not that one, it's this one, okay? Well, we have these ones, which have these straight holes in them. And then they're longer, so you can see that they're quite longer, and sometimes people use those on their house. I don't know, they might, sometimes those longer, slender bricks don't have any holes in them, but yeah, so these are one of the types of bricks. I like to build the different bricks with the different type of hole patterns, but basically, yeah. So we have our other 3-hole brick, we have the concrete block, which should have been bigger, but it isn't, so I built one back here. Got the corner block back there. Got this brick here. Standard paver brick. This is most likely more like a paver. We have a standard brick here. Then we have the king brick. And then we have the thin brick. And then we have these two here to show the thin brick, how it's thinner than this one. So yeah, and then we have the wall over here. So yeah, it's a nice little addition there to our masonry section. Okay, now that's where we did the setup for the 1.18 update. The other thing that I did is we had this from one of the showcase videos. We had this little dude up here. He was just floating, and I never built legs for him. And these aren't legs that I have under here. I'll explain them. You may be thinking, well, you didn't build legs for him. You're talking about his legs, so those are his legs. They look like little weird legs. Well, they look like chicken legs almost, but they're not. And they're not legs at all, actually. So what I did is I changed this dude from iron blocks the whole way through, and I changed him to make him out of wool. I don't need that. I changed his composition to wool. So, and then I made him kind of hollow in the middle, if I could. And so, like, if he was like 3 blocks long somewhere, I hollowed out a section inside just to essentially make him like he was a balloon, like a basic giant balloon. So as you can see here, I'll show you, he is hollow inside, like a balloon would be. See how it's hollow in there? Yeah. So he's hollowed out. And I need to put his claws back on. See, I seem to forget some things here. So he used to have these little claws on him, but I don't think I'm going to put him back on because that would make him heavier. But yeah, we can add fingers if we want to. Here. And then basically, so I changed his composition. I put a black hat on him there. And then, basically he's designed to be flown like a kite. So these are the handlebars here that you can hold on to. You grip these like with 2 hands and you just fly him around. He's very light. That's why he's hollow inside, because he's like a balloon. You'd fly him around town. Obviously, I'm not able to do that in this game. But basically, I put these zombie horses under here and tied them to leads. That's the least torturous. That you know, like I didn't want to put a regular animal in there because it's like you're starving it to death and torturing it. So I just put a zombie horse in there. That's the least one. Now, just making this look like it's tied to the ground when it's not being in use. So you tie like a hot air balloon to something or something. That's what this is. It's supposed to look like it's tied to the ground. There. And then, so yeah, he's tied down. And he was just floating before, and I didn't like the way he was defying gravity. So I just attached him to something, made it look like he was tied to the ground. So now he looks more, like he's not floating, he's tied to something. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. So please like, subscribe, so it helps out the Mangrove Door Variety channel, and stay tuned for more. We're going to be continuing our currency lessons, and we're going to be moving into one more episode of Resistance Story before we take a break from that. Then if we do anything else in this game and other games, we'll be into that as well. So please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Mangrove Door Variety channel.